So, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ryan Khan with Fatma Said, and today we're going to be discussing about atheism and group mentality, and kind of make this try to make this an organic, natural flow. So, Fatma, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to the conversation. We had an earlier discussion about how some atheists can fall into, or ex-Muslim atheists can fall into a group mentality, where it's this, which is why Muslims call it a religion.
Yes.
That's what leads to Muslims calling atheism a religion, or any other. Christians also do that. And it's a trap that some atheists may fall into. And there are certain things that we were talking about that, um, when rejecting religion, you're throwing the baby away with the bathwater.
Yep.
And there are certain values and principles uh, which are good, that are thrown away completely just because it might be associated with that religion, or that religion might claim it for themselves.
For viewers who do not know, we have two different groups. So one is Muslims and ex-Muslims dialogue. So we have both the sides there, both chunk of members, Muslims and ex-Muslims. The other group is about just ex-Muslims, or not even ex-Muslims, but non-Muslims, in particular atheists and ex-Muslims. And we have seen in both the groups, in the Muslim versus ex-Muslim group, it's kind of like a given that it's going to be Muslims versus ex-Muslims. But in the other group where there's only atheists, I've seen some of them ganging up against you, regardless of you not being a Muslim, but just having a different opinion than the majority, or than the mainstream.
Yes, sometimes that can happen, if because it seems like some people are just fall into a certain pattern, and then they all have to fall into, like, they either they fall into a woke culture, which a lot, I think the majority of ex-Muslims do fall into that, and
Hmm.
they don't question anything within it. They don't question. Uh, they just and they reject anything that might be associated with, um, you know, the Islamic or whatever they left behind. And
Hmm.
just because, let's take family values.
Hmm.
Just family values. If somebody decides, if a woman decides that, hey, you know what, I just want to be a housewife, and I want to raise my children, and I want to be supported by my husband, just the traditional family unit.
Yep.
um they're considered backward. They're considered, I mean, that in itself is a very backward thought.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, that um
It,
so
it does
yeah,
kind of it does kind of make sense. So here's the thing: you said something about woke, the woke culture, and it
yeah.
might be a bit like I can understand what woke culture is, and then it's kind of like people associate it with the cancel culture, people who are responsible for the cancel culture, and they're big proponents of it. Why would you think that the woke culture is particularly bad, if you think that?
um well, cancel culture is against freedom of speech, and it's akin to blasphemy, so it is kind of like it's a religion. Why should you be able to cancel people and not Muslims cancel people
Yeah.
because, let's say, they're offended by a cartoon. So
Yeah.
you're acting, it's an irrational way to act. We should all be able to view our opinions in front of everyone. If somebody talks about pronouns and things like this, that you have to call me by Giger or whatever, and this must be institutionalized or whatever, then it becomes, um, if you're not allowing people to openly challenge it in a marketplace of ideas in a fair and balanced way. So you're not allowing any conversation at all about it. It's just, no, this is my way of doing things, and you all are going to have to accept it from now on.
Yes.
That's a kind of fundamentalism. And
It is. I agree with you. In fact, I think what you're trying to say here is you're not particularly against any particular idea. You're just trying to say is that we should never, like, we should always allow people, we should always allow opinions, we should always allow other perspectives of the things, or even critique, which in my opinion is perfectly fine. And yes, there can be some people who are not happy with such things. It's freedom of speech only when when it's convenient for them, or when it complies with their point of view or ideology. And here's the thing: let's go back a little bit towards the gang mentality of people. And just like you said, uh, the reason why other theists label atheists or ex-Muslims as being another kind of a religion, which is kind of like a trigger word for a lot of atheists, is because they work in gangs. And sometimes, and this is what I personally see, but I have personally seen myself, that an atheist would be saying something which I or other people don't necessarily agree with, and they're, even in an argument, they're wrong. They're demonstrably wrong. Their argument is flawed, but other atheists are never going to jump in and try to correct the person, the atheist who was flawed. Instead, they would still stick with him and try to defend it, try to defend a losing battle which was not even theirs.
Yeah, there's another example, I think, for me that's bothersome, and that's the idea of decency. And I think that can be a very subjective thing, I know, but it's the fact that we don't talk about it at all, even though I know that a lot of atheists believe in it, and some atheists might not. They're like, fuck decency, that sounds like Islam to me, or that sounds like religion, get rid of it completely. But the thing is that to automatically throw it away, and then to call everybody who thinks that decency is a good thing, is you are acting like a religious person. You're acting like a fundamentalist, and you are
Yes.
wanting things your way. So it's like women walking around in burqas versus, let's say, okay, so a good example is Arif usually post these, or there's certain Muslims who will post things like, they'll show pictures of a gay parade where you have men pretty much naked, dildos, very explicit XXX material, and then there are kids. There are kids around that, and they're touching these things, and they're feeling up the bottoms. It's so inappropriate. It's so inappropriate to put children in that, into that thing, and that the response usually is, and I know so a lot of people don't think this, that they don't go along with it, and they think it's wrong. But to say that it's wrong they're so afraid that they're gonna align themselves with the atheists, that I mean, sorry, with the theists, that they're gonna go on the attack and say, oh well, you're gonna stone these people to death, and is it better to stone people to death, and or to throw
Yes,
them off of roofs, um,
just because
which isn't a,
it's pretty much like two wrongs here. So one wrong is
don't
stoning
make her
people to death,
exactly.
and the other wrong, how they're countering it, is using another wrong, which is public display of your private parts, where the public is comprised of youngsters, minors as well, which I'm pretty sure they do understand that. And here's the thing about other people not being able to say these things because they have this fear of getting either canceled or shut down, or just a social justice kind of thing,
Yeah, you can do social justice, and you can
going
stand
against
up
that.
for people's rights, and LGBT have all the um uh, you know um they should have rights, equal
Of
rights.
course.
But the thing is that um there are certain things that are happening, which is just not, we should be challenged. There are ideas that are going around that ought to be challenged, and one of them is the fact that nobody can define a woman anymore, and this can affect women's rights and lead to other issues as well.
Yes,
So
I think
but instead those people are now called turfs, it's a derogatory
yes.
word, which means trans exclusionary, radical feminists. And just to call anyone who has a view that might challenge theirs, or is
Calling them,
called a
so
bigot.
we have a lot of words, and it goes like it's from both the sides. It's from every side. Sometimes when you're not, but still you can get labeled as a turf, just like you said, or transphobic. And when it comes to criticizing Muslims, not Muslims but Islam, you can get labeled easily as an Islamophobe. These are the trigger words which I think it has some sense they are true in certain cases, because we have people who just hate gay people, who just want them dead. So it
Yes.
applies to them. It's like a phobia, an irrational fear of gay people or trans people. Now, similarly, some people would just want Muslims dead, which is very wrong. And again, the term applies to them, Islamophobe. They're basically Muslim-phobe bigots.
Yeah,
Islamophobia
like
is
that
a,
man who shot all those Muslims in New Zealand in
yeah,
that mosque. So there are people like that who exist. But you know, y- like you said, it's just um, there's phobia that is going around, but it doesn't mean that everybody's a bigot.
yeah,
And
it doesn't.
but to use that card, you're really diluting the effectiveness of that word. Whatever word you've used now to define a bigot, you are diluting it, and you're making it ineffective,
Yeah,
because
and in doing
now,
so, it's like bigots are gonna get away with it easily because now they're labeled as
exactly,
something else, which is way less uh, harmful, or way less
if you're
affecting
calling
as a bigot.
everyone an Islamophobe for every single thing, then when a real Islamophobe comes up, Islamophobe
Yeah,
meaning probably Muslim, anti-Muslim bigot, then it's not gonna be effective anymore. It's
I
not you.
I get it exactly.
What are you
I
gonna
get it
call them? You know,
exactly. Because here's the thing, like according to some people, and the girls who are taking off their hijab, their niqab, their burqas, and cutting their hair, they are exercising it. They're Islamophobes, for example. And the guy, Brenton, I think his name was, who did this mass shooting in New Zealand, he's also an Islamophobe. Now, there's no there's not much distinction left between the two in a way. I think
Exactly.
that's kind of like your point. And again, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would be agreeing that this is kind of a problem here, but some people would disagree, and they just want everyone to align, to comply with what they believe. And here's the thing, like now this conversation is going a bit towards the LGBT side of things and more interesting topics that we will definitely be discussing more. But if we keep on this, if we come back a bit towards where the this mentality of the gang mentality comes into play, where one atheist says something, for example, the celebrity atheists or celebrity ex-Muslims, YouTubers, and you just have to agree with them. And don't get me wrong, pretty sure you share the same sentiment as I do when I say that I respect a lot of ex-Muslim YouTubers for doing what they're doing. However, it doesn't mean that I should be agreeing with each and everything they say. And
As for me, I'll go further to say I haven't found anybody who on any of the ex-Muslim platforms to represent me completely. So it's I'm not, nobody represents me here. Just because they're a YouTuber or a celebrity ex-Muslim it doesn't represent, and that only goes to show that being an atheist, it doesn't mean that you have to be a follower all the time of people. You don't have to be a follower of a book. You allow your own reason. You have to work at it. You have to work out, through your reason, through
yes.
your logic, through your own sense of moral compass, to come out at the best with the best decisions that based on truth, based on reason, and all of these things. It's and ethics. So it's a more worked. It's something that you have to work at. It's not something that's readily in some book from 1,000 or 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, so what I think, Fatma, is like, in conclusion, the thing is, what I understand is, always be true to yourself. What makes you an atheist, or specifically an ex-Muslim, is being skeptical and critical of things. But some people lose this ability, which should not be the case. They should always value reason and not group mentality. Uh, what what do you think?
Yeah, don't take the easy path. Don't take the swallow whatever's coming out of the media or social media, whatever is trending, and use that as a crutch. Don't do the lazy option. Rather work everything out. Use your reason, use your own moral compass, your own ethical compass to work things out, to
Mm.
question everything,
And just have your
everything,
own
whether
opinion
it's
as well, and don't. Yeah.
yes, don't cave into group mentality. Just have your own opinion. If a certain if you, let's say you're really following a celebrity YouTuber or something, that's great. Or you follow our group, it doesn't matter. um, if somebody says something that doesn't agree with you, then it's okay. Just, it doesn't mean you can reject that person altogether or whatever. Just know that people make mistakes,
Yeah.
and use your own good judgment to make
Yeah.
decisions for yourself. That's it.
100%. So I think let's conclude this discussion. It's been amazing, like always, having such discussions with you, Fatma, and it's a good thing that
Likewise, yeah.
yeah, we both have a very similar mentality, although we have some differences, like
We have
porn
some
and
have some
prostitution.
disagreements here. Yeah.
Yeah, which we will be discussing. That would be more like a debate of sorts, coming very soon, actually. Thanks everybody. Thanks, Fatma. I'll catch
Okay.
you
Bye,
very
everyone.
soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.